everybody. Welcome to the City Girls podcast. And this is the show where we're talking about Sex in the City. So much fun. And today we're talking about season 4, episodes 4, 5, and 6. And it is some pretty spicy episodes, would you say? Would you agree, Jack?
Yeah, these are nice and spicy, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. And y'all will have to forgive me. I got a little bit of a cold. Don't worry. Don't have COVID. Tested twice. And I don't have COVID, but I am a little under the weather. So sorry about my voice. But we're gonna have fun talking.
I'm sad that you're not feeling well, but I will say there's nothing wrong with the little kind of like sexy growl you got going on here. It's a little gravelly. I'm into it.
Hey, there you go. Put in the comments if y'all find sick Rachel sexy, let us know. All right. So the first episode that we're talking about, episode 4, what's sex got to do with it? It's called. And basically you have Carrie, she's going out with Ray, and Ray is like super into jazz. And he's basically like Ryan Gosling in La La Land. Basically in this.
Good analogy.
Yeah, explaining jazz. And I think it's interesting because I think it's important that you at least show like passing interest in the things that your partner is interested in, like a little bit. But I think every day and just to be as all encompassing, I don't think that should be required of a partner. Like I don't expect, I do my open water swimming, and we just had the Great Salt Lake open water swim, and I finished it 5th time finishing it. Yeah. And I would expect my partner to come and cheer me on, even if they hate swimming and they hate, whatever. I think that that's a reasonable expectation when possible.
Absolutely. But like you wouldn't expect them to like train with you.
Right.
Like, and I think that's like, oh, you better come to the event, but like you don't have to be as invested in it as I am, or as you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like I would be really offended if somebody, like if I'm super excited and talking about my podcast or talking about the different things I'm interested in, and they were like, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to hear what you have to say. But on the other hand, you have to make sure you're giving them room to also express their interests and be interested in what they have to say and be attending their, activities and interests and things like that. Yeah. And so I think that's the problem with Ray, is that yes, it's really good that he's so passionate about jazz, but he's just kind of steamrolling through the relationship.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because he does, it is sort of this mono-focused thing. I think the only thing where I was a little bit understanding of Ray and kind of, we Carrie can be Carrie. Mm-hmm. Carrie's just kind of like, well, I don't like jazz. And I think that it's like, well, Carrie, you don't have to be obsessed with the way that Ray is, but maybe just being a little bit more open to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, she says, yeah, I don't like jazz, but she, in her defense, she does open herself up to it. And she even buys the DVDs, and he's like, oh no, you got to have records.
Like, okay, baby boy, like, let me do it at my own pace, my own time. I think I'm good here.
Where Carrie is kind of tempted by this relationship is evidently he's super good in the sack.
Like the best ever, apparently. Yeah. Well, he's got those jazz hands,
Mm-hmm. I guess, yeah.
Well, not like the pure jazz hands, but
oh yeah.
Man knows what he's doing. Yeah. I'm sad for the people that are just listening and not watching on YouTube, because Rachel and I were just jazz handing.
Yeah, epic jazz hands.
Yes.
But here's the question: is chocolate Eclairs and Jon Stewart the perfect relationship?
Definitely Jon Stewart. And I do like chocolate. I'm not a huge eclair person, though.
Oh, really?
How do you feel? Or do you like a good eclair?
I do. Yeah. I like the cream filling. I think it's good. It probably wouldn't be my go-to like orgasmic dessert.
Okay, so that's exactly my point. Like I agree with that. It's not like I'm gonna turn down an eclair, but like it's not gonna be the one that I'm like, yeah.
You know what? Actually, probably wouldn't be chocolate. I'm trying to think what would be my like ultimate dessert, but they make it at Disneyland. They make this churro toffee that is so good. I mean, it's like $5 for like a little piece, and it is,
but it's so good.
So good. Yeah.
And churros, just regular churros are so good too when you dip them in the top. Oh gosh, now I want a churro.
Yeah. It's it's like a piece of toffee, and then they dip it in the like white chocolate and then cinnamon, and it's to die for.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I feel like most of the food at Disneyland is like super delicious.
Sadly, I've never been to Disneyland, only Disney World, but I think I should go to Disneyland.
Yeah, you should. We could go. We go together. That would be fun.
We actually should go. Is it close to where we're going to be for Christmas Con?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I'm here for extra days. I think more too. So, if you want the City Girls pie,
that would be fun. I would be
really
up for it. But yeah, I think that would maybe be my choice if I could pick any dessert. It's so good. I always said that my favorite cake is yellow cake with chocolate frosting. I think that's the perfect cake because it's not like too chocolate.
Yeah, you can really, the chocolate of the frosting really pops when juxtaposed with the yellow cake.
Mm-hmm. I also think a really good brownie that would be up high on my list.
Oh yeah, I love my sister makes these amazing brownies that have like chunks of fudge in them, and I don't like a cakey brownie. I like a more dense
same
brownie. I hate when people they say brownies and then basically you just have cake.
Right. And the school that I went to, they have this famous brownies that are chewy brownies with a mint frosting on top. Those are good.
Oh my gosh, that sounds I would be into that.
Well, the reason why we're talking about this is because Miranda has put a strike against sex.
She sure has.
And so she is
she other vices.
Yes. So she made a chocolate cake. And when you come out here to visit, I will tell you, there is a place that makes the best chocolate on chocolate cake. It is to die for. Called Maggleby's Fresh. It's so good. But anyway, she makes her own cake because she goes to the bakery and it's $74 for the cake, which makes sense because that was what Carrie paid, right?
Oh my gosh, I love the consistency. Yes, that was Carrie's birthday cake was $70.
Yeah. Which probably is accurate in New York City.
I actually just got a cake for my friend's party, and it was $65. So
yeah. So she makes her own cake, and we also have Samantha and Maria, and with their relationship, like they definitely have different love languages, and I think that's making it difficult.
Yeah, I mean, Maria really seems to need this like quality of time. And Samantha, I feel like she's definitely a love language of hers is touch. And I do think that, so like in some ways, Samantha's getting what she needs, but there's too much talking and probably not enough touching for Samantha.
Yeah, definitely. And for Samantha, she's just getting more and more sort of frustrated about all the talk.
Yeah.
And I think she feels a little bit more in the next episode, but she feels kind of judged by Maria.
And I understand that. I think that some of what Maria is doing is just asking questions, and Samantha's lifestyle is so different than Maria's, but I think that she can be a little bit more open if she truly does want to, love and be in a relationship with Samantha.
Yeah. And then we have the I liked the line. It was really funny when Miranda, she says, "You'll need this information when you check me into the Betty Crocker clinic." That was
cute.
That was funny.
I always love these singers. Like Carrie had one a few episodes ago. We talked about I'm like a perverted Nancy Drew, and then this whole like when you check me into the Betty Crocker clinic. I always just think these singers are just so well written and delivered so well by all these actresses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Carrie says that that Ray is a guy with ADD.
So it does sort of seem like that. I think that we talk about things that are so different in Sex and the City when it originally aired than would be now if something like this was handled. And I think that talking about ADD or ADHD, we have a lot more like nuance and it'd be a bigger conversation rather than just sort of dismissing him because of it.
Yeah, and I didn't really understand why the banjo was such a turnoff.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
You heard it here first, folks. Rachel's into the banjo.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much when anybody can play an instrument, it just blows my mind. I'm like, you're making music come out of that thing.
So yeah, I don't think I have an instrument in my mind that is like a particularly unsexy instrument because I just like special skills.
Yeah, I mean, there's some instruments where the learning curve is tough. I mean, my sister played the violin and there's a learning curve, long.
I am sure for that one.
But it's beautiful, of course, once she mastered, which she did. She was really fun. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if there's an instrument that, I mean, I'm not the biggest saxophone fan because it can be kind of cheesy, but
why not, Rachel? I don't play. Alex plays. I don't play. It was just right here.
That's really funny. Yeah, it's just the whole Kenny G of it all, can be a little much. But I still think if somebody I was in love with played the saxophone, it wouldn't be a deal breaker. This seemed like a deal breaker. She was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to be with someone who plays the banjo.
Which he's a musician, so he's going to play multiple instruments. Like he's very into it. I don't know why you're shocked.
Well, and she says that he's moved on from me to another instrument. I'm not sure why, he seems to be totally up for it, but I mean, I can understand why she's frustrated because she says, can't we just sit down and talk? And he can't do it. He just seems incapable of that. And you need that in a relationship.
Yeah, he does seem to have some difficulty with just settling. Like, not in the broader sense of settling or settling down, but just like having a moment to be. He's pretty high energy and can't really just kind of sit in that moment.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about last time, but I love Craig Bierko. I think he's amazing. And he is so sexy, I think. He's great.
Even in this episode, when he's being like slightly annoying, sometimes he's still sexy.
Yeah. He should be a bigger star, I think. Mm-hmm. You should come to the Hallmark family, Craig Bierko.
We'll take you.
Hallmark movie. Yes, that would be amazing. Him and Laura Osnes to do a movie together. That would be amazing.
They would be great together.
Yeah, it would be so good. So Carrie says, great sex is great, but I still like the song you can play the melody to. We also have in this, so Trey and Charlotte are connecting, like, finally. They decide to conquer the bed. And then basically, like, Charlotte gets upset with Trey. And it was a pretty funny scene. She's just like, I'm tired of being led by your penis. That was funny.
She's delivering this monologue and it's so open and vulnerable, but it's also hilarious.
Yeah. So then Trey asks Charlotte to move back in and he proposes again. And so that was pretty fun.
And it's nice to see them recommitting to their relationship and being on the same page. I mean, we know it doesn't ultimately work out, but it's nice to see at least getting to know Trey a little bit more and see that there are some good parts of his personality.
Well, and that they both tried, because for a while it was just kind of like, how could he not think this would be a problem? Mm-hmm. How could he not be trying harder? And it just, and
it was sad. It felt really difficult, I think, for Charlotte to have someone who's not even up to like talking about that. But now he's back in the game.
So what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I really liked this one. I don't think it was like on the level with some of the other ones from last week, but still really solid. So I think I would give it an 8.
Yeah, I think so. I think this was a good one. It had a lot of funny lines.
Yeah.
And I loved that the whole Jon Stewart and Chocolate Eclairs had the perfect relationship.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast.
Calling all hearties, you will not want to miss Unfailing Love, a charming companion novel to the Hallmark TV show When Hope Calls.
This new book by Jeanette Oak and Laurel Oak Logan explores the backstory and additional plot lines not seen in the show as children go missing and the future of the children's home is put in question.
Get 40% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com when you purchase Unfailing Love or any of the When Hope Calls novels with promo code When Hope Calls.
That's 40% off at bakerbookhouse.com. Promo code When Hope Calls.
Episode is called Ghost Town. And we find out that that Steve is opening his bar that kind of Miranda had encouraged him to do, and that Aiden is the silent partner. So they become like BFFs.
I am here for that bromance.
Yeah.
They're both really sweet people.
Mm-hmm. So they say, we'd love to see you there. Steve's got a girlfriend who kind of comes into the scene,
and she weed him. We'd love to see you there.
Right. Yeah. Weed. That's right. And Carrie says it'd be like a parade of our failed relationships, which
that was
is
funny.
True. Yeah. So Trey's mom, Bunny, is helping them pick out the bed, and this is when Charlotte realizes that Bunny has designed the entire apartment, including all of the mallard duck things. I forget what they're called.
Hard pass on that. Yeah, I think that's what they're called. A hard pass.
Yeah, the whole like hunting lodge thing is not my aesthetic. That's for sure.
I'm not shocked that that's not your aesthetic.
No. And yeah, she's just very, very overwhelming. And Bunny says, I'm going to be here forever.
Rachel, she is too much. Like, I know there's like the whole trope of like the overbearing mother-in-law. And I think sometimes that gets carried away and someone's just trying to be involved or be loved. But not only is she too involved in their lives, she's also rude to Charlotte. So I do not have time for that.
Yeah. And she even, she's going to be staying over there. And so she interrupts them when they're having sex. And she doesn't seem to, like, I would think he would apologize for that. I mean, that's the thing with these overbearing mothers is sometimes it's like no human being is like that. It's like the recent Pixar movie Turning Red. The mother was just over the top.
Really? I haven't
ridiculous.
Seen it,
I didn't like it. Other people, it's got like 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. That 6% is me.
It's just Rachel's reviews.
Yeah. I did not care for it. And I thought the mother was a big part of it. She was just too much to me. But anyway, I think that's such a kind of a cliche. I mean, I'm not married, but like, I feel like most human beings, even if they're a little overbearing, aren't that overbearing. They want their children to have successful marriages.
Yeah, and Bunny, I mean, although it does make for an amazing scene when she brings the muffins over and she does catch them in the act, and the way the actress plays that moment with her like shaking and holding the muffins and then, you know, putting them down on the table, it was chef's kiss.
Yeah, she did a good job.
Yeah.
She did a good job. But basically, yeah, Charlotte's kind of weirded out by Bunny, which makes sense to me.
Oh,
but I think Trey, he's just a mama's boy, and he's just allowed her to kind of run run his life.
Yeah, and it's benefited him. So like, why wouldn't he do that? I mean, Trey has family money. He has a mom who takes care of him. She loves him, so she's not giving him any shade or anything. And I do think that, I know this is a gender stereotype, but I will say that I do think sometimes men do not pick up on things as well as women do.
Yeah. I just loved her line, Charlotte's line, when she says, "It's like we live in a museum of natural ugliness."
She's not wrong.
Samantha is tired of being in a relationship. She's getting more and more frustrated. And then we get this scene where they have this big fight, her and Maria. And she breaks all of Samantha's plates.
I mean, she's like, "You want passion?" And I did that at one time with my ex-boyfriend. I was so mad. I took a plate that was full of food and I smashed the plate and the food went everywhere. And I wouldn't repeat that. It's not a great way to deal with your problems. Yeah.
Yeah. And Samantha's like, "My plate."
Oh my God.
And the thing I guess that I didn't like is that I feel like Maria is pretty judgmental of Samantha. She says, "Oh, I've only been with 12 people." And then, she asks, "How many people have you been with?" And Samantha doesn't answer, which I feel like, she's the type of person who does keep a list. She knows, but she just doesn't want to say because she's just going to be judged. And basically there's this guy at the bar, and then that asks, that hits on her. And then there's a guy who comes up and is like, "Hey, let's do it." And she's like, "I'm in a relationship." And he's kind of like very pushy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the main problem, is that Maria is judgmental of Samantha.
Yeah. And I think it's like, just because you have a different sexual past, it's like, that's the person you want to be with now. So let's try and just focus on what you want right now in your relationship.
Yeah. And what you can learn from the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Samantha does learn a lot from Maria.
Yeah, she really does. The other awkward scene with Bunny was when she's applying the vapor rub, which maybe I need Bunny to come over and take care of me, I think.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'd be okay with that if I was. Yeah.
Get you on a plane.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna get the vapor rub. Get you some of I have like the tissues that are the Vicks tissues. Those are good.
Yeah. So then we also get a really nice scene between Steve and Carrie. Carrie brings the plant a mulberry bush. And then, because they're on Mulberry Lane or whatever, something like that. Yeah. And that Steve invited Carrie because he didn't want Miranda to be alone because he's so thoughtful.
Oh my gosh, he's incredibly thoughtful. Again, just for Steve.
Yeah. And also Miranda thinks she might have a ghost.
I love that. It doesn't seem like it's on brand for Miranda, but at the same time, it's also like, yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, I kind of think there are spirits. Maybe that's controversial, but I think they can hurt us.
Think that, but I'm not like scared of it because I think it's mostly just, I feel like it's people we love and,
yeah.
So like, I'm not like scared of ghosts.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's like Casper or like some kind of like we see it in the movies and in the stories, but I do think there's spirits and but and I absolutely believe in aliens. I think that makes total logical sense to believe in aliens. There's no way we're the only creatures in the whole galaxy.
I think that's it's such an interesting thing that people could think we are, because there's just so much out there that we don't know.
Yeah.
And whether you believe in like the power of the universe or God or just like the Big Bang Theory, like to me, under every section of that, it's like, of course, there's other stuff out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
I have they go to Scout. What is that? I'm trying to remember. Scout.
Oh, it's the name of the bar.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's the name of the bar. And Steve says, I never would have done this without you. And then they say, just like that, Miranda gave up the ghost.
That was really sweet.
Yeah.
And Steve's acknowledgement of how much Miranda has affected his life and changed him for the better. I mean, they just have such a great connection.
Yeah. And Carrie and Aiden share a cake together.
Yeah. Rachel, this is where I get into the whole Carrie Bradshaw's worst territory, because she expects so much from him when she treated him so poorly.
Yeah, I don't feel like she has apologized enough for what she did, and that she has shown enough growth as a human to be like, I'm a new person. It's going to be, I wouldn't go back with her.
You have to guard and protect your heart, and he's already been through a lot with Carrie.
Yeah. So what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I would give this either an 8 or an 8.5. What about you?
I don't like it as much as the last one. So I would probably give it a 7.5, but I think it's solid. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
There was no Craig in this one for you, Rachel.
Yeah. Oh, Craig Birka. I mean, we should have him on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So episode 6 is called Baby Talk is Cheap. So in this one, we have Samantha. She is dating this guy named Warren, who likes to talk baby talk, and she does not like it. And she's annoyed by it. And then we also have Miranda. She's training for the marathon, and she starts to kind of flirt with her running buddy.
Which I can totally see how you would want someone. I think this is like the whole concept too of having like a work crush, or like someone in an activity you're in, a crush on them, because it kind of makes that activity even more exciting, even if it's a harmless crush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets you motivated to get out there.
Exactly.
And we also have this whole thing with Carrie supposedly doesn't believe in email, which I'm like, this is 2001 at this point. I mean, I had almost graduated from college. I graduated from college in 2002, and we were well on the way of emailing. This wasn't some kind of new thing.
So, okay. When I was watching this, I was thinking of you saying that, because I was like, yes, it's so true. I think what they're trying to craft with Carrie, it's the whole thing when they were leaving the messages on her voicemail being like, get a cell phone. I think it's supposed to be this like whimsical thing of like, she doesn't do email, she doesn't have a cell phone. But the problem with that is she is a columnist, and it doesn't make sense. So I agree with you. It would be different if she was like some sort of like visual artist and like didn't have a computer and didn't do anything technological, but her brand and her business is made by, I think, like somewhat being online.
Yeah. I mean, she would definitely need to have it. I mean, if you think You've Got Mail was in 99. So this is 2001. I mean, everyone had an email.
Yeah. How does she even get stuff like from her editor or from the column?
Yeah.
Like, How did she send them her stuff?
She acted like she'd barely heard of it. It was weird. I was just like, this show is not that old. If it was like 95, I could see it.
Yeah.
But not
Mm-mm.
2001. But we have Samantha coming on with her fake nipples.
They looked great.
They really did. I'd never heard of that, I have to say.
So my friend, who she would love to be on the podcast sometime. I think you'd love her. But my friend just had a double mastectomy, so she just got her new nipples in, and she's very excited.
Yeah. Well, especially in situations like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
you're right. Like putting them on. Oh, I mean, when Miranda was walking around with them, and all the guys were looking at her, and then Samantha's like, "Give me my nipples back."
Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, she's training for the marathon. I don't know. Are you a runner at all? Do you run? I don't. I swim.
I don't. I never had like the runner's high that people talk about. It's not just that I'm not good at it, which I'm not particularly good at it, but like I don't enjoy it. And even if I'm gonna do like cardio, I'd much rather do like a Zumba class or even like cycling. I'm not a good runner. Yeah, you're not.
Yeah,
You like
I mean, I think the appeal of running is you can just literally just step out your door and you can do it. Whereas like for swimming, you gotta like go all the way to the pool or lake. And I mean, it just takes way more effort. You got to shower. You got to,
you've like a thing
do
you
your
have
hair.
to wear. Yeah,
it's a lot more effort. But it's so much more fun to me. But whereas that like other sports also, you need like people, you need a team, do basketball or something like that. And so I think that's the appeal of running. So you can just go right outside your door.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to belong to a gym. You don't have to, if you got sneakers and a comfortable outfit, you can do it.
Yeah. But I kind of walk sort of flat-footed. And so I get a lot of feet pain. So I think that's why I always gravitate towards swimming.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like whenever I would run, I would get like shin splints. And I think there must be something wrong with the way I'm doing things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's painful. It really is. Yeah, I mean, should Samantha be more accommodating of this baby talk?
I understand why it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not something, I mean, I guess I baby talked like my cat, and I probably do it to kids a little bit, but even I try not to do it with that. So like, I understand why it's a turnoff. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I feel like, I guess if it really bothers you a lot, and I think it could be kind of condescending, sort of patronizing.
Yeah.
You talk about it, and then if they don't change, they keep doing it, then that would be a concern because they don't really care about how you feel. But yeah, that's how I'd probably go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know
I don't think it would bother me that much, but
I don't think it would like be a relationship killer.
Yeah. Well, Carrie asked the question. She writes her first email supposedly in July of 2020 in July of 2001. And then we also have and she asked the question, are all these improvements in communication actually helping us communicate? Which I think that is more valid now of a question than then. I
echo your sentiments exactly. I think that now we think about all the ways we can get in touch. Yeah. And I'm all about social media and Zoom and Skype and all the ways to keep us connected. Like, I'm not someone who's like, oh no, that's toxic or that's too much. But I think about even the numerous ways, like even just say you and me, how many platforms do we communicate on? Like, we have like a Google chat with everyone from Hallmarkies, we text, we'll message on like Instagram. Like, it's just funny that even just to get in contact with the same person, you communicate across a variety of platforms.
That's true. I really love in the movie He's Just Not Into You, which has obviously Sex and the City pedigree behind it.
Yes.
I love the speech that Drew Barrymore makes in that movie. She says, I had this guy leave me a voicemail at work. So I called him at home, and then he emailed me to my BlackBerry. So I texted to his cell. Then he emailed me to my home account, and the whole thing just got out of control. And I miss the days when you had one phone number, one answer machine, and that one answer machine has a cassette tape. And that one cassette tape either had a message from a guy or it didn't. And now you just have to go around checking all these different technologies just to be rejected by 7 different technologies. It's exhausting.
That's really cute. And I haven't watched that movie in a while, but I remember thinking that monologue was so memorable and true.
Maybe for one of the episodes, once they start talking about that in the show, maybe we'll have to do a special episode on that movie. That'd be fun.
That would be so fun, because I could use an excuse to watch that again. I haven't watched it in quite a few years at this point.
I like it. I think that not every single of the plot lines works equally well. Like, I don't love the Scarlett Johansson story, but a lot of them do work, and I like it.
Yeah.
So Charlotte meets Trisha. She's 34 with 3 kids. And sometimes I have to say that women with children don't sell the experience that well. Whereas single girls, we're not like, oh, we really want to be going through what you're going through.
I don't plan on having kids, but I love kids, and I've been a nanny, and I coach kids acting, and like, I love children. And I can't tell if the reason I'm pretty firm on it now is like is the way the experience has sort of been sold to me. And I actually think it's among our generation. Like, I don't remember my mom talking about it that way, or like her friends or people like the generation above us. But yeah, I don't know if I'm up for like mom life. I love kids, but people make it sound less than exciting.
Yeah. Which is, I know it is challenging, but sometimes I just like, wow, sounds so miserable where things, and that Trisha is definitely that type.
Yes. And I would say that if I had Trisha's kids, I can see why.
They're a lot. So Carrie and Aiden and Steve and Miranda go on a group date. It's pretty awkward.
Yeah. And Carrie is being Carrie again, and like telling Miranda to act a certain way because she wants alone time with Aiden. And I don't know. I mean, I was not pleased with my girl Carrie in this episode.
And so at one point she tells Miranda to like basically leave the date.
Yeah.
With her and Steve. And then Carrie tells Aiden that she wants to get back together. And I just feel like it's too soon. She just barely was like dating Ray. She's, I don't know, like, what has she really learned? So she had the affair with Big. And I feel like she needs more time to kind of learn something.
I'll tell you what she's learned, that Aiden is extra hot now. And she's like, okay, like, girl, settle yourself. Like, I also think this reminded me, Rachel, of when she went to the restaurant that Natasha was having lunch at. I feel like her forcing this thing on Aiden when he's clearly putting up a boundary. And I'm not saying he doesn't have agency and he's a big boy and can make his own decisions, but Carrie is so guided by her own feelings and like needs and thoughts and all of that.
Yeah.
That, like, she forgets that other people are people with all of their own feelings and needs and wants.
And he says, "You broke my heart." And I feel like they needed more time in between this, because especially in retrospect, because she breaks his heart again.
Yep. Because I do agree, Rachel. I think that if we would have seen her, and yes, it's Sex and the City, so we don't ever really want Carrie to take a break from dating. But if there would have been more of a through line of her dating people being like, oh, man, I really miss Aiden. But he's not Aiden. oh man, I really screwed up with Aiden. But
Yeah.
she's like still palling around with Big a few episodes ago. Like it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I was really enjoying the first part of the season where it was just her kind of dating and not having relationship drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but she says, I love you. I wish I could be your girlfriend again.
Yeah. But I wish you wouldn't have cheated on me, Carrie.
Yeah, exactly.
For multiple, like, I think months.
Right. Yeah. It's not like it was just one dalliance. It was a prolonged affair.
Yes. I think that it was a prolonged affair with someone she had a history with. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll forgive a bar makeout, but.
Right. And so I did like when they say our kids will be different. That's the lie all parents tell themselves to procreate.
That was really sweet.
That's really
and
funny.
when Trey and Charlotte are spelling out, like, he's like, the room for the BA. She's like, BY.
Yeah.
So cute. I mean, they're annoying, but they're adorable.
Super cute. Yeah. And then, Aiden says, let's give it a shot. So I guess that we're going down that path.
Question for you, Rachel. I mean, I've watched these episodes before, but a while ago, I didn't remember that this is when he agreed to get back with her. And it kind of surprised me. I was like, what makes him say yes when, I don't know, like, were you surprised or no?
I was a little bit surprised. I think they should have drawn it out a little bit more. And I guess he's just so smitten with her. He just loves her. So, again, I think it hurts that in retrospect, we know that he's not endgame.
I know. I think it would have been different if you and I were watching in real time and thinking he could be.
Right. Yeah. Well, what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
Carrie made me so mad in this, Rachel.
Yeah.
That I think I am going to give it a 7.5. Still a great episode, but I was really, I'm back to feeling my old.
I'm going to give it a 7 just because I thought the email thing was ridiculous. I just can't buy that she didn't have an email before this. She'd never given an email before 2001. Come on.
And I like how you noted that it wasn't just that she hadn't written the email or hadn't had email. It was like, she was like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Although we forgot to mention the African dance scene was pretty funny. Like, I'm never going to this again.
Hilarious. And the fact that Charlotte, I think, goes regularly is like, it's Charlotte's class that she goes to. That was also amazing and wonderfully on brand for all the quirky things that Charlotte does.
Yeah, it was really funny. So I think I'll give this a 7.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. So let us know if you're listening what you would give these episodes. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Jax, where can people find you?
At Jacqueline C Tweets on Twitter and Jacqueline Collier on Instagram.
Great. And make sure you're following us at City Girls Pod on Twitter. I try to post anytime I see anything, any articles or videos on Sex of the City. I try to post them on there. So definitely make sure you're following us on Twitter at City Girls Pod. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following us at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps us so much. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And then we also have the merch store where you can get City Girls Pod merch. So check that out. And also check out the patron group. We have a lot of fun on there. Definitely want to be a part. And so thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.